all the way back around. So, a blessing. May Christ bless this home and your homes as well. The beginning of that gospel story has these magi showing up. Where is this child born King of the Jews? And they ask this to who? To Herod, to the king. Isn't that rich? Where is the child who's born the new king? Mr. King, sir, where's the new king? And do they pay that king homage? No. Do they give that king any gifts? No. They got another king that they are looking for, that they're going to worship, that they're going to give gifts to. You think that made Herod feel really good? No. It's kind of a jovial start to the Gospel of Matthew. It's also a wrestling with who's the king of your life. Last Sunday, just that one worship service, I mentioned things about the King Jesus, because that's what the second chapter of Matthew is about. Who's the king of your life? Do you have a King Herod or do you have King Jesus? Who's your king? Or who's your president? Or who's your mayor? Or who's your ruler? And some wise person once upon a time said that there's a Herod in all of us. The saint and sinner of all of us, the sinner part is the Herod part. The sinner part is the Herod part when we don't like what we hear. When we don't like the things that accuse us of not being as kingly as we should be if kingship is revealed in righteousness and justice and faithfulness. We don't like it when there might be someone else to kick us out of our house or to fire us from our work or to take control of whatever our lives. We don't like it necessarily when we have to go and leave our own palace to do something else for someone else. There are times in our lives when we are Herod, when we are jealous, when we are fearful, when we are just plain right sinful. But someone also, maybe the same person, the wise person, said that we also have a Christ in us as well. That this Christ gift is within us. So where is the child born King of the Jews? Not necessarily in Bethlehem of Judah, but hopefully right here in your heart. Right here to do battle against the Herod in your heart. Right here to forgive you of your sins. Right here in your heart to grant you some peace, right here in your heart, to send you forth to go look for other ways of God's presence in the world, of celebrating Christ's presence in mysterious and wonderful ways. So where is the child born King of the Jews? Right here. Down, down, down in your heart. May Christ be in your heart, especially as we journey into this new year. Also, think about the commitment of these magi. These magi made a great commitment. Traveling from the east, however many days, weeks, months they traveled, how much stuff they had to pack. It was more than just 3. It was a whole caravan. It was a whole group. And they traveled. They had a commitment because they wanted to seek. They wanted to find. They wanted to worship. They wanted to bless this new king. What is your commitment? How far will you travel this year for Christ? How far will you allow Christ's love and the star of Christ to lead you and guide you? What is your commitment level this year? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh they brought. Wouldn't it have been rich if they all brought just the same gift? And then they started looking at each other going, wait, I thought you were bringing the myrrh. Wait, I thought you were bringing the gold. You know, can you imagine Joseph and Mary opening up those gifts, and the first gift that Mary opens is frankincense. Wow, you guys know us really well. Thank you. I was just telling Joseph the other day that we needed more frankincense. Yeah, the stable life, phew, that was really smelly. This frankincense will certainly help bring a better perfume into our lives. And then Joseph opens up the second gift. Hey, Mary, more frankincense. Wow. And then they open up the third gift, or maybe Jesus does. Jesus may be as old as 2 years old, and Jesus opens up that package, and he looks at it, and a bowl. No, Jesus, it's more frankincense. Can I play with it? No, it's just look at it. You can't play with it. And Joseph is thinking in his head, I'm going to trade this in for a couple of baseball gloves and a baseball and a baseball bat. You know, then we can play toss, father and son. Anyway, wouldn't it have been rich if they just brought the same gift? But no, they brought different things. And they say gold for a king and frankincense for a priest and myrrh because the child would die. Gold. During the year of 2019, way back then, friends, you brought gold to St. Mark's, $564,000 to the general fund. Amazing. Thank you for your generosity, for your gifts to the general fund. Yes, to do lights and to pay staff and various things, but we also gave away over a tithe, over a 10%, giving it away. You also contributed even more than that, $600 and some thousand to special or designated offerings, for the flowers on the altar, for Food for Days, for Lutheran World Relief to help children all around the world in other ways. Over $600 and some thousand. In total, $1.2 million of gold coming through St. Mark's. Pretty incredible. Incredible, thank you. Frankincense, if that's for the priest, if that's for the church, here are a couple of statistics for frankincense. We had 10 baptisms during the year. We had over 150 worship services during the year. We had 3 young folks who were confirmed. We only had 2 weddings. I had 2 weddings. Maybe you had more than that in your family or friends, but 2 weddings. We also had 15 households to join St. Mark's. Frankincense. Some ways that we gathered together, some ways that we did some things together, some ways that we worshiped and celebrated word and sacrament. And then myrrh, if that's something for someone who is dying or is dead, myrrh, we had 13 funerals, or I had 13 funerals, 11 of which were St. Mark's members. One was a former St. Mark's member, and another one was just a Lutheran child of God that lived in Mooresville that died. 13 funerals, myrrh. But all the other ways in which death took place, maybe around you in some form or fashion, whether it was a friend moving somewhere and you celebrated that friend before they left, or because of someone who died that was close to you, and you mourned and you grieved, and yet maybe the people at the church helped you out, bringing food or sending cards or keeping you in their prayers, or maybe you did the same for them. Maybe you were part of the funeral committee or the funeral meal committee. Various ways that the myrrh takes place among us, even in times of suffering. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh, these gifts brought for Jesus, we still give to one another and to the world and to the church, to the glory of God, for sure. I think about this child, though, if Jesus was maybe as old as 2 years old, because Herod wanted to get rid of all the kids who were 2 years old and younger. I think about this child and how Christ was revealed even in the form of a toddler, not just in the form of church, but in the form of this toddler. And I think about a little boy named Ian and his mom, Deb. Deb was in the hospital because Ian was 3 months old. He was having a second heart surgery. He was born with a congenital heart defect. Second heart surgery, 3 months old, when the chaplain at the hospital met Deb. She was a third-year college student, single mom, working with Ian, trying to take classes. Coffee cups filled the room, some to-go boxes filled the room of the hospital. The chaplain met her, they talked, they prayed. The chaplain was not the preacher at their church, but the chaplain then on Sunday morning made an announcement saying, I met this mom and kid, struggling student kid with some heart issues. They could use some people to walk with them. Some people in church said, how can I help? Well, the chaplain had a couple people go by and visit with Deb and Ian, and they took little gifts so the kid could play, not chalk, but a little ball or some toys for Ian, a little play set a mobile thing that he could see as a few months old infant. And then to Deb, they brought her some coffee and some food. And when they got out of the hospital and when Ian was strong enough, they actually came to that church. And then later on, as time progressed, Ian was baptized on Easter Sunday. Ian was baptized at that place on Easter Sunday, and Deb stood up and said, Ian has a third heart surgery scheduled. There's only a 50% chance that he'll live past age of 10, but right now he was closer to age 2. There's only a 50% chance he'll live past age 10. He will never know who his father is. But thanks to this congregation, he now knows fathers and mothers and family more than I could have ever provided him, and thank you. And that was just an epiphany moment for that church, epiphany. Epiphany revealed in the suffering of a little boy, suffering Christ. Epiphany revealed in gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh for Deb and for Ian. Epiphany for the joy that surrounded Deb as she told the story of how the church had adopted her and her son. And Epiphany revealed in word and sacrament, in the waters of baptism, and in sharing Christ's love with others. This day we begin a new year. What's your commitment to Christ going to be? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Where is the Spirit going to lead you? Be mindful that in this story today that the child was revealed by a star. If you look up, you can't see stars anywhere in here. You got to go outside. You got to leave these doors. And the child, Jesus, was not in the palace. He was not in the temple. He was in some little tiny town, little tiny place. Mary and Joseph may not have been staying in that manger anymore, in that animal stall. But they were in a different place, in a home. Whose home will you go to and bless this year? Where will the star lead you? Where will God's presence lead and guide you? And how will God's presence support you? Above all, though, the answer to the question will remain the same, I hope and pray for each one of us. Where is the child born King of the Jews? He's in your heart. Amen.